Greetings, greetings, dear ones. It is Wednesday, October 20th, the full moon for October, and this is referred to as the Hunter's full moon. Now, most often moons have been named for the month that they're in, the moon cycle that they're in. And last month, of course, was the harvest moon. The harvest moon is the closest full moon to the um, equinox, and it has a tendency to be very bright right around the sunset hours, so it allowed people to um, harvest for more hours in the day. And this moon is more related to a season. So, or its name rather, is more related to a season, in that, again, it's a very bright moon, starts in the evening usually and goes throughout the earlier part of the night, allowing hunters to see the um, animals and be able to um, kill them to have food over the winter. So it's past the time when you can have food from the trees. So a lot of these terms, especially for the moons, were based on lifestyle, based on seasonal activities surrounding food and gathering and planting and birthing of farm animals and or even wild animals, of course. So we moved away from those demarcations of time in our lives. We function very much around the 24-hour clock, and here in the Western Hemisphere, very much to 9 to 5. And it does require those people who have different cycles and different rhythms to adjust and find a way to fit within that. I remember living in Latin America, Costa Rica, and then Mexico. Both countries and others in Latin America took a very, very long midday meal time. This was not only because there were, at least in Mexico, many different courses for your midday meal. It was the strongest, the heaviest meal of the day. But it was also a time to stop and go home and be with family and join in, the daily activities, and then rest and relax before you went back to work. So, because of the different seasons and climate in Costa Rica and then in Mexico, the hour of the day where that occurred was different. In Costa Rica, they experience more just a rainy season and a dry season. Rainy season is probably about 9 months out of the year, and the dry season about 3. And so as a result, it really, it was like clockwork. We were heading home from school on the bus, and it would start raining. So that was around 3 o'clock, 3 to 4. Usually it rained really, really hard, and then may continue a little bit lighter, may continue with larger storms. But in the morning hours, it was generally clear and beautiful. Costa Rica, at least on the plateau where the capital is very much like East Coast spring and late spring weather. So their work day starts very, very early as a result. You can see construction workers already on the job at 5:30 in the morning, and then they work until approximately 2 in the afternoon, 3 to 3, and then work stops because generally it's raining. In Mexico, although Mexico has a wide variety of climates and different weather patterns, where I lived, which was in about an hour and a half southeast of Mexico City, way up in the mountains, 10,000 feet altitude. But in general, the entire country is one time zone, so their day began. Schools start a little bit later there, and offices, because people were generally taking their kids to school, office hours begin at 10 o'clock or began at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 to 2. You had a break from 2 to 4. Again, your heavy meal, many courses, rest, enjoy your family if you were close enough to go home, and then go back to work from 4 to 8. 8 o'clock in the evening, when people headed home, they had a very light snack, maybe a light sandwich with some cocoa. So that lifestyle, when I lived in both of those countries, by the time I was living in Panama, quite a few years later, all of that had gone away, unfortunately. But most Latin countries did follow that custom, and it would be wondrous for us to take that pause. That's certainly what's been going on globally, is the pandemic giving us that pause. Tonight is about the full hunter's moon and about the energetics, the astrological alignments and connections. And we've been talking about, all the sources that I listen to have been speaking of a very powerful period of time. Not that the past year and a half hasn't been, or two or more, but that this is a very concentratedly powerful time. And a great deal has to do with a major planet that has a very slow trajectory, or orbital trajectory. And that means that it deals with aspects of humanity and the world in general, but over a long period of time. These are things that we see in 20 years. And because of the alignments with other planets right now, it's accelerating that process, and it's causing a lot of disruption. It's causing a lot of volatile and, in this case, this month, combative energy. This full moon does fall in Aries, and we have, though, strong influences from Mars, which, as you may or may not know, is the planet that symbolizes battle and war and the warrior. So this is starting a trajectory for the next 6 months where we're going to see even more shifting, or more shocking, also more kind of revelations that really throw your head back and go, oh wow, you know in all areas of life, whether it's government and business and banking and economies. We're up for many more surprises, and many more revelations, and many more kind of, in many ways, shocks to our system. Not only to our minds, because although we may have suspected some of the things that have recently and will be revealed, seeing them very, very visually, very blatantly, very apparently is cause, well, it's shocking to begin with, but it's also cause for us to look at that same piece inside. Those of you who have been following this work for any length of time know that this is about how anything astrologically or out in the world, out in the news, out in our government, our finances, etc., are reflected within. So right now we have strong warrior energy, and that can be, as I said, very combative. It can also be kind of the warrior, staying at it, sticking at it, plugging away, pushing, fighting until the end. But it also can give us an opportunity for a different type of courage, a different level of courage, um, bravery to step into our own, to step into a dream that we have had, and um, are seeing more possibility thereof, are stepping into more of our own being and our own truth. So we can use that warrior energy in a very positive and constructive way. It's also reveals a lot of competition. And certainly, as supply chains are being more and more affected, and stores are going to have empty shelves, coming the holidays when that's their big moment to push and have profits, how is this competition going to reveal itself? How is competition showing up in your life? I have a couple different clients who experienced a great deal of competition with their parents competing with them, or their parents not wanting to be outshined by the child. So doing things to keep the focus on themselves, which is, on the surface, sounds unfortunate, but for my clients, it comes through in a transformative and transmutational way, in the realization of their own value, their own worth, their own perfection, and coming to love and really want to make the best choices because you are that valuable to yourself. So competition can show up in that way in your world. Competition can also show up in a much more positive way in pioneering. I cannot tell you the amount of articles I'm receiving daily from a wide variety of science disciplines, and the discoveries are just like never before. I've never seen this many. It's constantly daily. On the other hand, we have archaeology uncovering huge, kind of groundbreaking information about ancient cultures that we thought we had, full disclosure and information about. So we have both ends. We have, the ancient coming in through the archaeological sites, through discoveries about humans and DNA and where we're sourcing from. A lot of the assumptions are being proven incorrect. So it's just such an exciting time, but also can be, of course, overwhelming with all the different sources and avenues of information and data, whether you're aware of it consciously or not. Keep looking over my shoulder, because right out this window, beautiful moon was rising. It was very, very yellow, not really orange tones, but more gold, pure gold. And now it's risen well above the trees, just checking outside, and it's now very, very white, and it's shining in the window, so it's going to be helping really pour that energy over our drop in a few minutes. But I also want to talk about that, as I said, the science breakthroughs, and this is very pioneering energy. You have to have a level of warrior spirit to go where no one has gone before. And we know that to be true not only for explorers, and yes, we just went through a weekend ago of an explorer that did have a lot of courage, and for all of his downfalls, Columbus did change our world entirely. And those are some of the discoveries that are coming through right now that have not necessarily hit the mainstream. And also, the information is perhaps not quite, let me rephrase that. We are not quite ripe to receive that information. Now, the other type of revelatory information that can come in is about our cosmic positioning and some of the things, again, recently discoveries are proving that the whole idea of the Big Bang is inaccurate. Now, those that have been studying and exploring string theory and further membrane theory for a long time, this is nothing new, but still adhering to this Big Bang theory and what's the information that we're receiving, because we're reaching farther and farther out in the galaxy and beyond, is kind of breaking down a lot of old theories and theoretical concepts that we have built different disciplines of science upon. As I said, in regard to anthropology, in regard to the universe, in regard to physics, they're actually creating objects or matter from electrons. And again, every science is breaking through boundaries and leaving this open for potentials. And that's, I think, what's going to be so exciting and wondrous in the time ahead, as we're getting these shocking revelations and more and more combativeness and battling and seeming answering of oligarchs and autocrats, etc., because their world is crumbling. The old way of doing things is falling away. Now, how does that affect each of us? Well, in order for that to truly occur, each of us, it's incumbent upon each of us to explore internally how that particular aspect of human nature that you're seeing in the outside world is showing up in your internal world. And so where you might find your anger rising up and wanting to battle, take a step and entertain the possibility that that which you are viewing is perhaps also in a different form within you. And when and as that piece gets transformed in you, the faster and the more efficiently this new way of Earth is going to move in. So being a pioneer, taking a risk in your creative life, in your career life, in your relationships, and that's bringing forth that bravery of the warrior, but in a constructive way. What we're going to be doing in a little bit is to really allow you to drop in to your internal world, your inner verse, and to create from there. And that doesn't mean necessarily visualizing, but it means, what do you want to feel? So if in fact all of what's going on out in the world is creating fear inside. It's creating hesitancy. It's creating anger, or perhaps for many I know, including myself at certain times, deep sorrow at the destructiveness and injustices. And that's another thing that's going to be coming through very, very much is, and certainly can be channeled through the warrior energy, is not fighting injustice, but creating new ways. I keep coming across so many different organizations that are affecting small groups of people, little villages and towns, and even larger cities, with a different way to do things, because the undeveloped countries are fast needing to catch up, and so they're doing so oftentimes to the detriment of the environment around them, which ultimately in the long run is going to hurt them economically and otherwise. But in the moment when you're starving and your family doesn't have anything to eat, then those trees are going to go. And that doesn't work because, again, you're kind of biting the hand that feeds you. And we're all doing that in our own way. So there's so many projects around the world attempting to teach a different way, show a different way, help implement different ways. One of the, I'm trying to grab the recorder because this week I was able to catch and record a show that talked about the Earthshot Prize. And if any of you follow fashion, what have you, there was a red carpet for the Earthshot Prize naming, and a lot of huge celebrities in the UK and from around the world were there. And this is about different projects, and they were so very exciting. If you can look for it, it's called the Earthshot Prize. Sorry, I'm pulling it up right now on my recording. And it's, of course, Sir David Attenborough and Prince William. And they're explaining how the approach to modern life is causing global loss of wildlife, and the solutions, the finalists for the Earthshot Prize to protect and restore nature. So I think it's a total of 6, but I'm not sure. But please look into the Earthshot Prize and the different projects. It will give you such hope and such faith in what can be done and what is being done, and how we actually can turn this all around. I have so many people I know, sensitives, who are just devastated by the loss, as am I, in any given moment, of hearing some of the destruction to nature and moreover to the indigenous tribes around the world that have been preserving that wisdom of the interconnectedness and interdependence and intercommunication and cooperation and collaboration with nature that can and must be part of our future. And yet the numbers and the statistics and the amount of destruction is overwhelming. And yet there are so many innovations, and I think that's what I'm trying to get across this evening, is we're moving into a new cycle, or into a planetary alignment, astrological map, if you will. Not that anything is set in stone, but it's a fantastic map, of which there are many unknowns, and we each in our own way, by following our true path, are mapping out a new design for this planet. And it's so exciting. You are so purposefully here. This is a critical time. It is a tipping point time. It is an evolutionary leap unlike any other in, I would say, definitely the supercluster, if not more, because of all that's involved, and that each person is here potentially in a multidimensional way, which means that you can access your Akash, if you will, or access your past lives, or access your concurrent existences to be able to incorporate them into your and embody them, and living with and through utilizing that knowledge, those skills, but also in that way implanting those energetics in this planet, in this current project, so that it can change. And again, we'll talk another day about what that change means, or what ascension is really, and what the purpose of this whole evolutionary leap may be. But we are in the thick of it. We are still at a tipping point, because if we don't take the responsibility and the knowledge that is available and use it to become more than who we are right now, then the destruction and so forth will continue, and humanity will be eliminated from this planet. Because, as you well know, the earth will go on. She does not need us, we need her. And it is that back and forth, that cooperation, that collaboration, that communing, and moreover the realization that there is sentience in everything. There is every blade of grass, every leaf is a piece of the one. So for tonight, I'm going to invite you to take a couple minutes. I'm going to be quiet and let you maybe grab a piece of paper and a pen if you can. It's always better to write things down and have them in black and white, but if you cannot, that's fine. But really pick different areas of your life, your career, your finances, your relationships, your creative expression, which can also be your career, your enjoyment, different categories we have of us. And not just envision, but let yourself feel what you want to feel. How and who do you want to be in those different categories of your life? Do you want to feel joy, pleasure, growth, expansion, deepening? What do you want to feel in those different areas of your life in the near future? What do you want to feel for your community? What do you want to feel for nature? Or how do you want nature to feel? How do you want those who are marginalized and are experiencing such incredible injustice around the world? You don't have to come up with a solution. You don't have to know it. You don't have to even fight to fix it so much as feel what it will feel like to you, knowing, seeing, perhaps participating in the shift from the most vulnerable into people with, freedom and health and food and resources. So again, taking some of that energy of Aries, that forward movement, the determiner. Sitting well within the energy of Eris, Eris, that is the goddess of, oftentimes called the goddess of discord or the goddess of chaos. But this is constructive chaos. Know that that is what we are experiencing. As difficult as it may seem, this is constructive chaos. So many of you have been in your homes this past year and have decided to rebuild or reconstruct an area or redesign an area or clear out and make more space. You have to, on the one hand, kind of destroy or remove before you can then build. So I'm going to invite you now. Oh, so bright, so strong, so clear. You can easily read under this strong light of the moon. See things. And since it is the hunter's moon, I'm going to invite you to hunt down inside the parts of you that have that warrior energy, that have the fight for injustice. And the part that may become reactive at hearing or seeing wrong being done, whether on a global scale or right in your own backyard, so to speak. I was at a women's conference last night, and one of the questions arose of asking each one of the panelists when they had a moment to stand up, because the conversation was surrounding some of the injustices in the workplace. And it's a very interesting question. I know that I have spoken up in many work settings and would not tolerate or be part of gossiping or backstabbing or anything that was denigrating to another. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. It takes a lot of bravery. Again, as I said, several of the women last night stood up on behalf of another or on behalf of their team. And it turned out to be something quite extraordinary. Everyone else, wanting to say something, but it was they who did speak up to the CEO or to the whatever form of leader there was in their organization. And everyone else were thanking them for doing so. And those whose eyes they opened up by standing up were probably affected more than even they cared to realize. So, how can you stand up for maybe the injustices that you're doing to yourself? Maybe those ways in which your anger comes to the forefront. Trying to battle out an old pattern within you through another, or through the argument with another. Allow yourself to feel your inherent bravery. For it is very real and it is very true. And sitting here right now, you are proof of that. For given the fact that I do soul work with people, I am very, very, very well aware of the amount of courage and bravery it takes, first of all, to come to be human at any point in time, but to be here at this point in time. So really let yourself realize that inherent bravery. Be aware that it is within you. It is part of your physical and energetic makeup. It is absolutely part of your soul. For you are here now in the midst of one of the most unique evolutionary leaps. And I will say leap because this isn't just an incremental over hundreds of years process, which is why we have brought ourselves to this crucial tipping point with our environment. If we do not make this leap, we shall not continue. Many of the clients and colleagues I know are almost in that position of having to break through and become so much more than they believe themselves to be in order to lead others. That's where that pioneering energy comes in of this month. How many explorers, how many scientists put themselves even in danger to be able to make a discovery and move, carve a path forward. Not so long ago, scientists were ruined when they espouse certain theories or ideas. Things that we take for granted today. Where is your pioneering energy? What do you wish to apply it to? going through what has been referred to as the Great Resignation. People are quitting their jobs and moving into entrepreneurship or seeking a new expression. Perhaps you are one of those. Countless numbers of people turning hobbies into businesses. Your unique expression is your pioneering. Allow yourself to feel the movement or pulse or rhythm or waves of energy being transmitted from and through this powerful alignment of planets and oppositions of planets and energies pouring down upon us, assisting, guiding, leading, gently nudging, or even shoving us towards our individual and collective future. Let go of your vision, let go of your brain, and allow your body and energy field and wider self to lead you to feeling. The sensations of your future. Pride and joy, not merely in accomplishments set out by a culture or society, but pride and joy in the daily expression of your daily exploration. Feel the courage to take that risk, to make that step on the unknown path. Feel the fun and pleasure in the interaction with family, friends, co-workers, joint venture partners. Feel the experience of not competition, but two parties boosting each other to become more individually and together. These are the energetics being transmitted. Should you choose to allow yourself to feel them deeply. You need not vision out the details of the steps, for it is the vibration and frequency of the emotional state you emit that will allow you to be met in that frequency by opportunities, encounters, ideas, innovations. Feel the excitement on the edge of something new and wondrous and like nothing from ever before. Sink deeply into this container of energetics. You're all on the edge of an unknown venture. With all the tools and knowledge and resources and potentials. Within reach. The pioneering energy to course through you. Along with the healthy back and forth, pushing one another in a positive way to be our very best selves. experience the inherent bravery and courage that you employ each day by choosing to stay in this life, in this world, in your body. Let yourself fill with that courage and bravery. To blaze your own trail. Knowing that if it feels good and right and fun for you, that it ultimately benefits the whole. The fertility gods of all sorts are also stepping forward. Haumea, the planet, the ancient ways of honoring the cycles of life and seasons. Knowing that through death, rebirth, there is expansion and evolution. Feel the anticipation overriding the fear. Excitement. powerful energetics coursing through you, powerful parts of you flowing to meet that. Much like your current self meeting your future self. Our current world meeting the new earth, the new way. And allowing all of your energy field and your wider self as it is incorporating and assimilating all of the transmissions of energies. Following their lead for your wider self and your energy field, know the exact right pace, timing, and form for you. To move from a less physical back to a more physical experience as we have here in this three-dimensional existence. And I invite you, if you can, to sit outside and bathe in this beautiful hunter's moon and sensate once again the energetics that were transmitted here. You can listen to the last half of this for the deep dive journey. And the moon will appear here full for the next couple nights as well, and those energies will continue. Or you can continue to just sit in them now and come back when you so choose. But whenever you do, I encourage you to drink tons of water. Do not underestimate the power of the energetics. And they need to be flushed. Remember, we're flushing old ways to move into the new ways. And if you aren't already, I encourage you to become a part or join the Applied Universal Alchemy group. We're going to be doing some really fun and exciting and innovative things there over the next few weeks and months. So as always, dear ones, please contact me, comment below if you have any questions. Please direct message me. I'll try to answer them. And until next time, it is always with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet. Take care. Enjoy.